Hi guys, so when I did my last passive and side income update, I mentioned that I had a new side hustle and I was going to make a video talking about it. So I wanted to get a little bit more experience in this. I wanted to do it a few more times before I actually made a video. And as you can probably see from the title of this video, it is remote interpreting work. So essentially, as I mentioned in that video, it's not for everyone because it's not really going to work for you if you don't have a second language. But if you do, and like me, you either didn't even know such a thing existed or you just never thought of it as a side job, then I'm here to explain it to you. So essentially, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it works, why it's awesome, and then how I got the job. So essentially, I'm currently signed up to 2 agencies that I do this with. Nothing's stopping me from signing up to more, but I think it would get more difficult to manage. One is currently better than the other, but it's mostly just because I'm having some technical difficulties with one of them. Which means I've not really done any work for them yet, and they are a little bit hard to get hold of. Having said that, the second one that I have been doing work with is absolutely awesome. So a bit of trial and error, and who knows, maybe when I sort out those technical difficulties, I finally emailed a different email address, so maybe I'll get a response from them. Maybe that one will be even better, but the one that I've been using is pretty cool. So what is it and how does it work? So essentially, remote interpreting is able to be done by anyone who has a second language, because pretty much all nationalities live in England, right? And what it is say for example, someone who doesn't speak English, or they speak English but not to a high degree that they're comfortable with, for example, medical situations, goes to a doctor, they might need an interpreter at the appointment. Now, I always thought that these sorts of interpreters were always face-to-face, but it turns out actually now a lot of them are remote. So essentially what happens is I get dialed into remotely into things like GP appointments, hospital appointments, mental health appointments, all of that stuff. I think the other agency has different varieties of appointments, so it's not just medical, whereas this one, I believe, when I signed up, they told me it was mostly medical. But there are 2 ways that I get work. It's firstly, you have pre-booked appointments. So through the app that I've had to download, I get notification saying there's an appointment available at this date and time. Do you want it? And you have to be pretty quick with these, at least for Polish. I don't know for other languages. But you know, if I go in like a minute after that notification has popped up, someone else has already accepted it. But if I'm already on my phone and I get the notification and I click it, if I'm available at that date and time, I click yes, and I'm booked for the appointment. So at the time of the booked appointment, I get a phone call and I get a notification that says, this is a pre-booked phone appointment, like, are you still able to do it? If I don't turn up, or if I cancel within a certain time frame, I get charged for not attending. But if I turn up and the patient doesn't turn up, then I still get paid for the full appointment. The second way is on-demand appointments. So there's a calendar in the app, and if I don't have my availability set as unavailable, they can ring me at any point. So I can pick up and I get a notification that says, this is an on-demand appointment. Are you able to interpret? And I press yes or no, so 1 or 2. I have to make sure I'm available for a minimum of 20 minutes when I pick up an on-demand telephone call, although the last one I picked up lasted 40 minutes. So for me, I like to say that I want to be available for at least half an hour if I pick up. Now, I am paid per minute of telephone conversation, and it is all logged through the app. So essentially, I can go in there and check all of my completed assignments, if you will, and it pays £12 per hour. That's then broken up by minutes. So it's not bad, but obviously you then deduct tax from it. So I don't make as much from it as I do from teaching. but this is mostly during the day. I have had some calls like late in the evening. I'm assuming those are more like, I don't know, A&E or hospital or something. I've not picked those up because I teach in the evenings. But because I teach in the evenings, not many people, I do have some people that I have during the day, but not many people want English lessons during the day. So this is actually a pretty cool way of supplementing that income, especially now that I've essentially left the 9 to 5. So again, if you haven't watched my passive and side income video, I have quit the job in Poland as well. I get paid for the work that I've done at the end of the month following the month in which I did the work. So for example, the stuff I did in December, I've just invoiced for it, so I should get paid for it at the end of January. It's not a lot, but I will show you a screen grab here, what it looks like. So you can see the amount of hours and minutes that I did, and then the amount that I've got paid for it or will get paid for it. It's a little bit stressful, I'm not gonna lie, because you do have to keep up with what they're saying. So luckily for me, I'm quite a fast typer, I don't know. Luckily for me, I type really fast on the keyboard. So I make notes whilst they're talking just to make sure I don't forget what they've said, because my memory is terrible. So what I do is I just type up everything they've said, then I interpret it for the patient or the doctor, depending which way I'm interpreting it. And then as soon as we move on to the next bit, I delete that and then I start typing again, because obviously you're not allowed to keep any of that information for yourself. You're not allowed to discuss individual cases or things that you've interpreted with other people, obviously due to confidentiality. And sometimes you do have to be aware that you're going to have difficult conversations. So obviously not every medical appointment is rosy, if you will. So I have had one appointment that was rather difficult. So you do have to sort of detach yourself slightly emotionally from these calls. You also have to make sure that you don't summarize what they're saying and that you actually interpret word for word what has been said. It is pretty cool because you do it completely from home, and essentially there is no requirement as to how much work you do. So similar to what I did when I worked at Wembley, which was a 0 hours contract. So I just took shifts that I wanted, but here it's not whole shifts. It's, do you want this 20-minute appointment? Do you want this hour appointment? Do you want this 2-hour appointment? I had a 2-hour appointment earlier this week. So you're not committing to any time, and you could just block out your schedule and then only make yourself available when you have some free time, for example, just to make a little bit of extra cash. Now, in terms of how I found the job, I essentially just Googled Polish remote interpreting. And then I found a few different agencies. Some of them I liked the look of, some of them I didn't, so have a look yourself. But the ones that I actually ended up applying for and being successful at, I found through the Job Centre website. So I went on the Job Centre website, I searched Polish, and then I looked through all the jobs that had the word Polish in them, and there were 2 that were Polish remote interpreter or Polish video interpreter or Polish telephone interpreter, whatever it was now. Then I sent in my application, they gave me a call, we had a chat, then I had to do some language assessments. So that included doing something like an English test online, and then I also had someone call me and do like a mini language assessment in interpreting. So it was essentially a lady, and I had to do this for both agencies. She rang me and she was like, you have to interpret both ways now. So I'm going to say a sentence in one language and then you have to translate it to the second language. So that was about a 15-minute sort of language assessment. And that was mostly sort of medical words as well. Finally, once I got through all of those stages, as part of the onboarding process, I had to apply for a DBS check, which I had to pay for myself, which that was my only sort of downside that I wasn't a fan of, because most jobs that I've had previously that required a DBS check, the company covered the cost of that. But it's fine. So one of them I needed a standard DBS and one of them I needed an enhanced DBS because I think they have more sort of medical sided appointments, if you will. So, and they work with kids sometimes as well. So I think that's why you need the enhanced, because they work with children. But I'm not sure. So yeah, so far so good. I've really enjoyed the work that I've done. Like I said, there was one difficult appointment in terms of what was being discussed. And there was one difficult appointment where I was struggling to understand the GP that was talking. He was quite far away from the phone, and he had quite a heavy accent, which meant that I was struggling to understand him, because a combination of accent plus far away from the phone is not ideal. But I got through it and it was fine. So yeah, honestly, I'm gutted I didn't find out about this earlier. I would have been doing this for so long now. So what I'm trying to say is, if you have the ability to speak another language fluently, have a look and try and find some remote interpreter roles, because it is an awesome side job and there are a lot of interpreters required, because there's a lot of medical appointments and other type of appointments. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I've covered everything. Bit of a wishy-washy sort of unstructured video, but hopefully that's okay. But yeah, if I've missed anything, if I haven't covered a question that you have about this, let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.